Over the last 2 or so months, the diva of Dump Divas Kat Engelbert, along with players in the WNBA who are desperately fighting for money they haven't earned, they have been congregating every Sunday morning at Woke United Methodist like they usually do. But instead of praying to their unrisen King George Floyd and demanding their usual prayer request, chartered flights, an increased supply of Just for Men, complimentary batteries for recently donated dildos, directions for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow so they can collect $1 million salaries. Instead of their usual request, the WNBA and its players, they have been asking Father George to heal the great white hope, Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA is feeling the pressure. Folks, ratings are collapsing, ticket sales are stuck, and suddenly the league that once insisted it was bigger than any one star is now pleading for Caitlin Clark to step back onto the court. Yes, the very same player they criticized all season is now the one they believe can rescue them. Do you think she should make her return? Share your thoughts in the comments. And so here we are again. The WNBA, the league that spent nearly a full year claiming Caitlin Clark wasn't the face of women's basketball, is suddenly on its knees, desperate for her to save them from a ratings disaster. Strange how quickly things can turn, isn't it? Remember when the league, the players, and even much of the media worked overtime to push the idea that it wasn't just about Caitlin, that the story was the collective, that one athlete couldn't define a league? Yet now, with ratings in free fall and fans barely noticing the playoffs, everything points back to Caitlin Clark once more. Almost like she was the very reason the league stayed alive. Imagine that.
Hey, George, it's me, Kathy E! We're in deep shit. The networks are expecting big ratings for the playoffs, and there is absolutely no way these unknown players who think they are stars can deliver. I really need a miracle, Father. Can you please heal the injuries that Caitlin Clark is dealing with?
But let's not kid ourselves. Anyone really watching saw this coming from miles away. The second Clark went down, so did the electricity. The crowd stopped showing. The national TV boost disappeared. The social media fire, gone cold. ESPN, which spent months squeezing every headline from her name, is now left stretching stories about Angel Ree's latest outfit or Sabrina Ionescu's three-point contest just to stay afloat. Without Caitlin Clark, the league fades into the background. And right now, they are scrambling. Kathy Engelbert, the so-called commissioner, puts on her calm face in public. But behind closed doors, she's sweating. Networks like ESPN, ABC, even streaming platforms, they all bought into one promise. Caitlin Clark. She's the ratings engine, the money magnet. The reason anyone beyond hardcore WNBA Twitter even bothers to tune in. Without her, the ad revenue stalls. Sponsors pull back. And the players shouting for NBA-sized paychecks are about to learn that reality doesn't bend to Twitter clapbacks. Now here's where the irony cuts deep. The very players who mocked Clark, took cheap shots at her, rolled their eyes whenever she grabbed the spotlight. Suddenly, they are praying she returns. Not that they'd ever admit it. Pride won't let them. But deep down, they know, because when Caitlin Clark is on the floor, their paychecks grow. When Caitlin Clark is in the game, the cameras roll. When Caitlin Clark shows up, suddenly the league has meaning. Strip her away, and what's left? Irrelevance. And that's the bitter truth the WNBA can't avoid. So let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie. With Clark healthy, fever games were shattering records across the league. Primetime ratings even beat out Major League Baseball. Tickets soared in every city she touched. Jerseys flew off shelves. Struggling franchises suddenly filled arenas the moment Clark came to town. But in her absence, those numbers have nosedived. A drop so steep not even the boldest PR spin can disguise it. The league can shout about record attendance all at once, but when the playoff race feels duller than a preseason scrimmage, you know the crisis is real. And Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, well, she isn't exactly making things any easier.
Season. There is absolutely no reason for Caitlin Clark to return. But according to Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Felines, not only is she hoping that Caitlin Clark returns for the playoffs, Steph wants to see the Rue from Waterloo back on the court in the regular season. The question is why?
She's out here telling reporters she hopes Clark returns for the regular season, maybe even the playoffs. Excuse me, did I miss when risking an injured superstar just to chase ratings became a smart move? You'd think a head coach would put the health of her franchise player above everything else. But apparently not. Seems the bigger concern is making sure ESPN has filler content to hype in between their endless segments about LeBron James.
Turn to practice. Hell, at this point, I don't even know if she's on the Huffy. Well, KC, don't you mean the treadmill? The WNBA can't afford a treadmill. When players are rehabbing injuries or looking to warm up, the WNBA provides them with a used Huffy or sometimes a Schwinn. But either way, with 10 or so days left in the regular season, Caitlin Clark is nowhere near ready to return. But according to Stephanie White, we could see the Rue from Waterloo on the court soon.
Let's be real here. This has nothing to do with chasing wins or playoff glory. The Fever aren't lifting a championship this year, with or without Caitlin. What it's really about is money, plain and simple. The WNBA knows the only way to keep the lights shining and the checks from bouncing is by putting Clark back on the floor, no matter the cost. And here's the cruel twist. Those same players and league officials who love to preach about empowerment are the ones most willing to gamble with Clark's future for a quick reward. Oh, but don't worry. They'll dress it up with lines about her wanting to be there for the team. Please, we all know the truth.
Like I have been telling you guys since July, there is no way Caitlin Clark should return this season. The Indiana Felines are well on their way to being a flaming ass fire. They are barely clinging to the final spot in the playoffs. Sophie Cunningham's out for the season, which means Caitlin Clark would be on the court unprotected. She wouldn't have her bodyguard to protect her from opposing players who like to get physical.
The truth is, Caitlin Clark is far too valuable for the WNBA to treat like just another name on the roster. They can't afford to let her rest. They can't afford for fans to drift away. And they absolutely can't afford for their golden goose to realize she doesn't need them half as much as they need her. Because here's the harsh reality. If Caitlin Clark woke up tomorrow and chose to walk away, if she took her game overseas or leaned fully into brand deals and appearances, the league would crumble. Gone. Done. Finished. Angel Reed can shoot her Netflix cameos all day. Sabrina can drain all the practice threes she likes. AJ Wilson can flood social media with motivational quotes. Without Clark, none of it moves the needle. And that's why the desperation feels so loud right now. The league isn't merely waiting on Clark's return. They are pleading, quietly, behind closed doors. Odds are, the Fever are feeling pressure to rush her timeline. Networks are dialing. Sponsors are raising eyebrows. The players want their checks. Everybody's got a hand out. And the only one who can fill it is Caitlin Clark. But here's the truth, Clark doesn't owe them anything. Absolutely nothing. She doesn't owe the league. She doesn't owe the fans. And she sure doesn't owe the very players who spent the past year trying to tear her down. Her duty is only to herself, her career, and her future. And if that means sitting out the rest of this season, then that's exactly what it means. Now let's talk about what happens when a league puts every egg in one basket, then drops it. The WNBA has been riding Caitlin Clark's name since the second she declared for the draft. They splashed her face on everything, sold tickets just off her presence, and pretended the success was theirs alone. But the moment she went down, silence. Suddenly that we're more than one player mantra didn't sound so inspiring. The irony is almost painful. These same players who kept shouting "respect us all equally" are now staring at empty arenas and flat ratings without Clark. Turns out equal respect doesn't equal equal interest. Fans don't pour in for the collective. They come for the star. And right now, the only true star this league has is sitting on the bench. Here's the reality the league refuses to say out loud. Clark isn't just another player. She's the product. She's the spectacle. Without her, the WNBA is just another league begging for scraps of attention. With her, suddenly casual fans care, national TV cares, corporate sponsors care, and even NBA Twitter, usually lost in LeBron debates, actually pays attention. So of course they are desperate for her return. This isn't about parity. It isn't about the Fever chasing a title. It's about survival. Because if these playoffs flop, and every sign points that way, the league is staring at a crisis. Just think about the timing. 4 months. The WNBA bragged about record-breaking highs. Ticket sales here, jersey sales there, TV ratings everywhere. But look closely and you'll see the pattern. Every single record carried Caitlin Clark's name. Fever on the road. Record tickets. Fever on TV. Record viewership. Fever on social media. Viral clips. Without the Fever and without Clark, the so-called records vanish quicker than a WNBA player blocking you on Twitter for asking the wrong question. And now, with Clark sidelined, what's left? Angel refilming Netflix cameos. AJA Wilson stacking stats that no one outside Vegas even notices. Sabrina Ionescu draining threes that ESPN desperately tries to turn into headlines. But it's not enough. None of it carries the weight Clark does. The casual fan tunes out. The networks feel it. The advertisers know it. And deep down, the league admits it, too. Now here's the other layer, the players themselves. Oh, they'll never voice it, but they are sweating just as much. Bigger ratings bring bigger checks, more endorsements, more opportunity. Without Clark, all of it shrinks. Suddenly, those million-dollar dreams start slipping away. Suddenly, the demand for more respect, more coverage, more everything doesn't hold up. Why? Because without Caitlin Clark, the league looks exactly like it did 5 years ago. Forgotten. And that's why I can't help but laugh when I hear anyone say the WNBA was doing fine before Caitlin Clark. No, it wasn't. It was invisible. You could walk down any street, ask 100 people to name a WNBA player, and 99 would shrug. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and suddenly everyone knew at least one name. That's not doing fine. That's being saved. But now the league has slipped right back to where it started, vanishing without her. And instead of facing the truth, they are scrambling to spin it. Hoping, praying, begging for her return. You can almost imagine Kathy Angelbart in the league office, lighting candles and whispering, "Please let her ankle heal. Please let her groin heal. Please let her drag us back into relevance." It's sad and it's hilarious, but let's not ignore how dangerous this gets. Caitlin Clark has been targeted more than anyone in the league. Hard fouls, cheap shots, non-stop trash talk. At one point, Sophie Cunningham practically served as her unofficial bodyguard. And now Sophie is out for the season. So what's the plan if Clark returns? Just toss her back into the fire, injured, unprotected, and pray nothing goes wrong? That's not strategy. That's desperation. The smart move would be letting her rest, recover, fully heal, and build for the future. But the WNBA doesn't think about the future. They think ratings today, sponsors today, relevance today. They can't afford patience because they know the moment people stop talking, it's over. And that's the heart of the issue. Caitlin Clark's career is long. She's got years ahead, brand deals waiting, and a fan base that will follow her anywhere. The WNBA, not so lucky. This league doesn't have years to burn. Every rough season drags it closer to collapse. Every ratings slide pulls it closer to irrelevance. Every sponsor who bails makes survival tougher. So of course they are holding tight to Clark. She's not just their brightest star. She's their only lifeline. But here's the kicker, she doesn't need them. Caitlin Clark doesn't need the WNBA to matter. She could walk away tomorrow and still make millions. She could play overseas and draw bigger crowds than half the league combined. Hell, she could tour the country hitting logo threes in empty gyms, and people would still line up to watch. That's how big she is. That's how little the WNBA matters without her. And deep down, everyone knows it. Clark knows it. Her team knows it. Her sponsors know it. Which makes it laughable to think she owes the league anything. She doesn't. If anything, they owe her. Every ticket sold, every rating spike, every headline with her name, they all exist because of her. She gave them relevance. She gave them attention. And how did they repay her? By mocking her, targeting her, dragging her down. And now, they are begging her to save them. Good luck with that. So yes, the WNBA is in panic mode. And honestly, they should be. Because whether she comes back or not, the truth is already out. This league is nothing without Caitlin Clark. Nothing. And there you have it. The WNBA scrambling like never before, pleading with the very player they tried to tear down. Without Clark, the league looks emptier than its playoff arenas. With her, suddenly everyone pretends to care. But the real question is this: should Clark risk it? Or should she sit out and force the WNBA to deal with the mess it created? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown.